How many of you, life has just been hard? It seems like you've been hit on every side, every way you turn. If it ain't pain, if it's not disappointment, if it's not rejection, if it's not people overlooking you, if it's not family dysfunction and family issues, if it ain't the husband, if it ain't the wife, if it ain't the kids, it's the dog. If it ain't the dog, it's the neighbors. It's always something. And if it's not that, you're serving and you're trying to do everything that you need to do to step into your purpose, and you have people rejecting you and overlooking you and just beating on you and saying different things about you, in the spirit, not physically. Some of you are being physically beat as well because you allow people to mistreat you and put their hands on you and speak negative things over you, and you're passive and things of that nature. But you've been going through what it is that you've been going through because God needs to strengthen you, because there is a place where God is taking many of us. We are going to see the day, because there is a shaking that is coming. And in that shaking, we've been through so much that this shaking that is coming is going to be nothing to us, because we've kept our faith in God. We've kept our trust. We, kept serving and kept going to church and kept trusting God and kept doing the things that we needed to do to let God know, look, God, I trust you throughout everything. The songs when we sing, I trust you, Lord, it wasn't just a song to you. It was the lifestyle. It was what you were living, the things that you have been going through. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. You have been building your hope on nothing but Jesus and his blood and his righteousness. There are many of us who, we sing a lot of songs, but we really don't go through the things, and we really didn't have to go through the struggles of what the song was saying. But there are a lot of us who did, a remnant of us who God said, okay, I'm going to take you through the shaking, because I need for you to rise up and to stand through this shaking that is coming. You are going to be the voice that I use. You are going to be the mouthpiece that I use. You are going to go forward, and you're going to have the word of the Lord in your mouth, and people are going to have to listen when you speak, because it is not just the pain of what you've been through. It is the oil that oozes out of you, that your tribe is now ready for you. They're ready to receive the word of the Lord because of the beautiful place that has been planted in you. And this beautiful place, it is a place of peace. It is the shalom, shalom. It is the shalom in your life. It is the shalom in your house. It is the shalom in your mindset. It is the shalom that's working for your good all around you. The peace, nothing missing, nothing broken. Everything is whole, and you just have the light and the peace of God and the radiance of God within you that is radiating out of you no matter what's going on around you. There are many of us who, we have been asking God, why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to go through this? You knew that you had a call of God on your life. And for some of us, it's been years of preparation. We've been on the backside of the desert, make one mistake, got to go back to the backside of the desert, make another mistake, the least little mistake, got to go back to the backside of the desert, simply because we knew better. We know better. Before we open our mouths are like hammers, and the words that are in our mouths, so that when we do things, God holds us accountable and charges us and makes us take another lap around the track, because we knew better. Especially those of us who are prophets and prophetic, you know better because of the way you are wired. You are wired to God. You are plugged into God. So that wiring, you feel when you're doing something wrong. You know what you're about to say before you open your mouth and say it, and you still do what it is that you want to do. There are many of us laying and playing and shacking and slacking and doing all of these things with people that we are not married to, hooking up and things of that nature, and God is not happy with that. And then you wonder why you keep going through different storms and shakings and backsides of the desert, because God knows that you know what it is that you are doing, and you intentionally do it anyway. But the shaking that is coming, if you were not in position and you were not in place and you were not doing what you're supposed to be doing and living the way that you're supposed to be living, when the shaking comes, it's going to break you. It's going to break everything you're built on. I had a dream. Let me share this dream. I had a dream that I was in this beautiful place. I mean, this place was like, it had to be like in heaven. But there was green grass, green pasture, green, everything was green. And it was like this exuberant, vibrant, alive, radiant, just awesome green grass and trees. And the trees were brown, of course, but the leaves and the fullness of the leaves and the background, there were other colors that were like in all the way in the far back, but I was so focused on the green of everything, how healthy the sun was out. It was like this radiant presence that was there, and it was just like everything was lit up and illuminated, but there was the green grass on the right side. There was green grass on the left side. There were these big trees. There was all of the scenery around, but I was so focused on the flourishing and the greenness and the growth and the beauty and the radiance of everything that I was seeing. There was this like a brook of water that was flowing in between the two places. One was on the right and one was on the left, but in between that brook, it was a stream. It was a stream of water that was the brook. Excuse me. It was in between the right and the left of in the middle of these two pieces of land. But the brook that was flowing, it was a stream of water that was like, what is that scripture that says, he leads me beside the still waters. So the water wasn't still, it was flowing, it was moving, but it was beautifully just streaming. And there was this arch, and the arch was over on both sides of the right and the left. And the arch was a great, big, thick archway where the brook, the stream of water, was flowing through the arch. And the arch was, like I said, it was like a earth color, but it was standing in between these two green places, like the arch. You know what I'm saying? Like a McDonald's arch, but just the one arch just going on. I'm trying to explain to you what it is that I see, even though I can't explain it. So I have to liken it to something else the same way that Ezekiel did. But this one arch that was over from one side to the other had the stream of water that was passing through, and everything around it was green. So as I'm looking at this place, then all of a sudden there was the shaking, and I saw the shaking, and as everything was shaking that I was looking at this place, I was like, oh God, this place is going to crumble. But it did not crumble. The place stood. And after the shaking, it went right back to its radiant, beautiful, like it never missed a beat. It didn't go back to, it just never missed a beat, but the shaking happened. So then again, a second time, the shaking came. And when the shaking came, I was like, oh, like this place is going to fall. It has to. This is the second time. But it stood. It was still beautiful. It was still radiant. It was still just I was just in awe of the splendor and the beauty and the serenity and the peace and just the serene atmosphere of this place. And all of a sudden it stopped, and then there was a third shaking. And in the third shaking, I was saying to myself, like, oh my God, like it's got to be a crack in the top of the arch, or the foundation is going to fall from this third shaking. But it did not. It stood. And when I woke up from the dream, I held on to the dream for a couple of days. And the thing that God ministered to me today, that there is a shaking that is coming. And there are many people who are not prepared for the shaking. They are living their life any way they want to live it. They are claiming to the name of the Lord. They are saying that they are saved. They are choosing people as idols and things of that nature. And God is not happy. There are people who are saying that they are prophets when they are not. There are people who are just doing all just different types of things. And they feel like because they come to church and put $1 or $2 in the bucket, and they hear the songs of the Lord and make their soul feel good for the week, but they're not living. They are not disciples. They are not followers of God. Then you have people, men and women of God, who will stand in a pulpit with a whole congregation full of people and tell people how they're not all the way saved and all of these other things, these dysfunctional things, and tell them how they'll slap somebody or they'll do this to somebody and repent later for the way that they are treating them, instead of looking at the enemy working through that person and saying to them, I know it's not you, but Satan, I rebuke you. You know, many of us, we talk a good game about all the things that we'll do to another human being, but we don't go up against the warfare that we should be fighting, which is Satan and his imps, the enemy. We don't do nothing to the enemy, but we want to slap our brother or our sister and abuse our brother and our sister, and God is not happy with that. So there are many of us, we are talking a good game. We got a whole bunch of followers, but the thing that we must remember is that Satan has followers as well. And just because we look the part and we act the part and we're able to play the part and we're able to draw the people, you know, as a part of what it is that we are doing, it does not mean that we are shining the light that God has called us to shine. So God is not happy with a lot that is going on. And when the shaking takes place, there are a lot of people who their arch from one side to the other is going to be shaken. It's going to be hit from the foundation. There are some people who the ark is going to be cracked up at the top and it's going to fold over and it's going to fall. And there are some people who that same ark is going to crumble. It's going to hit the ground, it's going to crumble, it's going to fall, and it's going to be pound to dust. It's going to be pulverized, and it's going to be irreparable. God says that it is time for us to stop playing and stop playing church. Many of us think that we are standing when we are falling, and we're calling other people to fall. The archway is a stream. It's an open heaven. It is what the water is flowing through. The green grass. God says that those of us who have been faithful, those of us who have been hit hard, those of us who have gone through some trials, those of us who have passed the test, those of us who have for years, we're wondering, God, where are you? Why do I keep getting these hits? As soon as one thing come up, here comes the next thing falling down on me. God, why are you taking me through this? Because you had to be built for this service, built to be the mouthpiece, built to be the voice, built to be that in the shaking you won't be shooken, and you'll be able to give somebody else the strength that they need to stand and to hold on and to have the faith in God that they need, because you have already been through. You are the forerunner, you are the trailblazer, but you are the first, but you won't be the last, because God is raising up others. And in that raising up others, you are going to have a peace, a serenity in the midst of the storm. People are going to look at you and they're going to say, why are you so peaceful in the midst of all of this that is going on? Because you have a stream of living water flowing out of you. You have an ark of protection over you, the gateway. The heavens are open to you. All the greenery that you see is the peace and the prosperity and the wealth and the abundance and the things that are coming to you because you stood in hard times. You were doing ministry, and there were people who talked about you, who tried to break you for doing the work of the Lord, the things that God called you to do. There were people who called themselves children of God who were stabbing you in your back and treating you any kind of way, and people who were sitting in high seats and felt like they were greater and bigger and better than you and made you feel like you were a nobody. But what God is doing right now and the way God is going to use you, there is a peace that passes all understanding, and it's not just a peace, it's the shalom of God. Everything is going to be in position, everything is going to be in place, nothing missing and nothing broken. It's the shalom, 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 shalom in your life, shalom, shalom in your ministry, shalom and shalom in your finances, shalom, shalom in everything that God gives you to do, because you have a stream of living water streaming through that arch of protection that is God, and all of the greenery around you. God is going to make you a provider, a wealth distributor. He's going to put you in a place where you're going to understand better by and by why you had to take all the hits that you had to take, because when this time and this shaking that takes place, you are going to be in position where you are standing regardless of the shaking. You're standing in the first shaking. You're standing through the second shaking. You're standing through the third shaking. And not only are you standing, but all of those who are under your arch, under the umbrella of protection, they are still going to be blessed because of what God did in you. And this is the reason why when they need you, you are going to have to be there for the people who need you, because people are going to need you. But if you can't forgive, if you stay broken, if you stay wounded, if you stay revengeful and things of that nature, the call that is on your life will be null and void, because it rains on the just as well as the unjust. And the things that are about to happen, it's going to rain on us all. None of us are going to escape it. But when we have to be our brother's keeper, it is our job to make sure that others have, to provide for other people, not to see people suffering and lacking and wanting, because that makes you just like the person who put you through what it is that they put you through. But the thing that you didn't see is that God was taking you through what it is that God took you through, so that God could put you in the place and bring you to the place where he could get the glory out of your story, where you could be in a beautiful place where his presence is, where his radiance is, where his provision is, where everything you need is for the time that is coming. So the shaking that you have been going through was to prepare you to be able to stand rooted and grounded, on the rock. You have been in the place where you know how to maneuver through the shaking. You know how to make it. You can take it because you've been through it for so long. Yes, it's been painful. Yes, it's been hard. Tears have rolled down our eyes. We have felt lonely because it seemed like nobody else was around. It seemed like people left us. Relationships left us. It has been lonely. It has been hard. It has been a struggle. It has been a fight. It has been questioning, God, where are you? Why is this happening to me? This is your answer. God is preparing a table before you. God is making you lie down in green pastures. There is a stream of water that is flowing in you, out of you, and through you. And it is the water of life, because you held on. You fought the good fight. So everything that you've been going through, this place where we are coming into, is a place where God is going to use you to flourish. It has not been in vain. It may have felt like it for so long, but this is where God is going to use you. All the shaking you went through, you learn how to stand. You learn how to survive. You learned how to make it through the shaking. Now is your time to not only speak what thus says the Lord, but also to train up and to teach these prophets who are coming behind you, the people of God who are coming behind you, who are going to need to know how you make it, how you made it through, and how you were rooted and grounded, how you were a tree planted by the rivers of living water. Even though the winds were blowing and the storms was coming, you made it through. And they're going to hear you, but they're going to hear the God in you, because you are the testimony, the example when their arch fell and was broken, and they're crumbling and they disappear and they're not going to show up anymore, or they are somewhere in a mental institution and things of that nature because their mind has collapsed, and the things that they put their faith on, robbing people with money, they find themselves broken with nothing and begging and things of that nature. But they are put into that position to humble them and to let them know you don't play with God. You reap what you sow. You don't mock God and think that you're going to get away with it, but you are still in position that when God blesses you, you are to be a blessing unto whoever God tells you to be a blessing to. And let me say this, just because you're a blessing to people, it does not mean that you have to smooth and be friends and reconnect and forget about everything that they've done and things of that nature. You need to heal and forgive. But when God tells you, I need you to be a blessing to these people, there's no but. There is no ifs. There is no what happened in the past. You are just to obey and do what God told you to do, because just as quick as God blessed you and gave you everything that he gave to you for such a time as this, The same way he moved Vashti off the throne and put Queen Esther on it, your seat can be replaced as well. And he will put somebody else in the position and make you the beggar and make you somewhere in the lost world or the lost side of the palace where nobody communicates with and things of that nature, because you've got up and now you want to put your foot on other people's neck and hold them down because of what they did to you. And God is not pleased with that. You're going through the lesson so you can stand in the shaking, but also so that you don't treat people the way that they treated you, because they are going to need you. This is Let's Talk Kingdom. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a blessed and prosperous day.